Sam, I'm not even going to do an intro. I'm just going to tell guys, if you're watching us from here, we'll go back. Okay, I said I won't do an intro, but nimefanya. But anyway, I want to make sure that we close this Jack Ma chapter proper and we don't miss out anything. If there's anything to be missed, that I may have missed out. So I want to tap into that emotion and that place that you are with after the event has been done. And first of all, in fact, let's talk about the final. Did you finish? Did you work from beginning to end with him?
Yeah, we finished the first year successfully. We did such a good job that when he went to Ethiopia, he said, I want to move it from $10 million to $100 million.
What?
Yes, for the next 10 years. And so I get this call, a clip from Ethiopia from one of the vice presidents. Back then he was a vice president at Alibaba. He became such a good friend. So he sends me this, say, hey bro, seen this? I was like, yeah, it's freaked me out. And he goes like, okay, you have a lot more work ahead. Anyway, I knew I wasn't gonna go on with the work because I couldn't sustain it. Now I'm broke. I have used all my savings. Kumbuka nilichukua mshahara, nimekatwa. Tumefanya job for almost 2 years. Tumelipo ile tulikuwa tumeagree. Tumepay off my debts zetu hapa na pale. Alafu tulikuwa kamkasko moja tukapata in story devil. We need to go back.
Okay. No, to end the back. That's why I said we don't have to miss anything.
So anyway, tushamaliza hii story. But 2 or 3 years ago, we had applied for a tax exemption on certain stuff because we were doing, we were supporting
innovation and business,
and all of that. Then this guy came over and asked for a bribe. Remember, I have a 0 bribe policy. I said no. From one of these tax, whatever, man.
Oh, I see where we're going with this story.
Buddha, chapwa viboko. Siku moja niliamka tu nikafungua phone yangu, personal account yangu ya bank, nikakuta niko negative 6 million. Na kuwa required kulipa. Your story ni ndefu. Yo tutachapa gazeti nyingine. Skule tumefika place important sana.
Yes, okay, sir.
Ya kuweza kumake easy changes.
But I hear where you're going with this story and I understand it. So I can take it things.
Katika hiyo story ya Jack, naamka unakuta kuna mtu amechapwa minus 6 million na mtu fulani. Kuna wale watu kuna hiyo power ya kuimplement hiyo. Alafu yako pia mimi yangu nikachapwa. Chapa multiple accounts.
And some of them zilikuwa, if I was going to ask you kama walifunga
zote. Na sio bado sina. Na ile mistake nilikuwa tumemake ilikuwa 2012 2013. Kuna vitu tu kulipa na tu kujua until much later. So I'm in this point, I am broke. I'm running out of cash with this. I'm running out of my personal cash, and we've already worked for a year, and we've already done a successful job. I knew we were going to come to the end of the program, and we needed to find a different way to build Nailab to keep on going. And so we discovered a few ways of doing it, but I didn't want the next chapter of Nailab to be with me in leadership. So we discovered a few ways of doing it. Nailab is doing currently amazing stuff. They will launch very soon, and when they launch that, I'll be happy to talk about it. But then I needed to resign.
Yeah.
So I started planning on my resignation because I was like, we have done a lot of interesting things, but we have not done things that have put us on a path of profitability. And people have come and left, and the only person who's still here is me. I need to be the one who leaves and see whether that changes.
I get what you're saying. Hold on. So you communicated to the Jack Ma team that we're not going with you the next...
Yeah, we just said these are our terms. If they're not agreeable to them, it's okay. Then we'll have to not continue.
Okay.
And they didn't agree to the terms, and then that quietly, nicely, good friends.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, like we talk. They're amazing team. They taught us a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Cockroach style operations, working really, really hard. I learned a few lessons I've never learned anywhere. The East works really, really hard. They work very hard. They spend very little and achieve a lot. So I've run out of my savings. My dad is sick. I've run out of my money because cancer is really expensive.
Yep.
Nimefika ile place sasa mtu anaanza kuangalia niuze ile shamba nilinunua, niuze hii gari, niuze ile ka plot. Niko nako mali. Sasa nifika hiyo point. Ndio tusastay. Lakini kiangalia school fees ya watu hii pia plus nini nitaweza. Hata nikiuza zile assets niko nazo, I'll start digging into. I need to think differently instead of going back and dissolving some of the things and just I decided I need to think differently, which brings me to a lesson I forgot to mention that James Kashui taught us. He said the most successful people don't ask themselves how they're going to save to buy something. They ask themselves, how much more can I make to afford this? So it was like, if you ever get into a place where you need to buy a new car or a new something, don't go back into your savings. Ask yourself, what else can I do to bring in the kind of money that's needed to buy?
I like that.
This. So I told myself, assets is back. Actually, my boys called me one day. They were kulikuwa na kaplot mali tuuze kila mtu apate 1 million yake nilikuwa tumenunua kitambo 200k. Nikamwambia hapana, just leave it. For me, I don't want. So kwa sababu nimelemewa saa, niko home, engine imekufa ya gari. So I need 300k. So siwezi move. Corona isha come. So 2019 imeisha. Sasa watu ni na homeschool sasa.
In fact,
I'm homeschooling my kids.
This is the crazy big one because again, our kids were in the same school at the time. So in the morning, I could drop, nakuona way. I'm like, hey Sam, what do you want to?
Kwa hii shule.
Hey Buddha, where we make? Kuna ka drive up. I'm like, man, I like it, Sam. Next thing. You're telling me, bro, me, and this is me, I'm like, hey, Sam Jack, mom, I come through, the flu, bless you. You get? I'm like, hey, things are good for this guy. I'm like, hey, Sam, can I interview for City? You're telling me, hey, bro, but I'm missing nada. I'll interview you when Dikifika. Sijafika, bro, no, until I have a story to tell about proper entrepreneurship. Yes. Then, pop, your kids are out of the school.
Yeah. And then I just couldn't afford it, and I just pulled them out. There are 3 kids in an international sort of international curriculum, like it's expensive. You know how much money that was. Now I made a choice, and I want to make this very clear. I made a choice never to buy a house in Nairobi and put myself on mortgage because it will put me in a place where I have to make X amount of money a month. And the amount I'll make 10 times that, the amount I'll make nada. And so I made one choice that. That choice I made was to invest most of my resources to my kids' education. Like I wasn't going to buy a new car. I wasn't going to live in a place that I'm paying too much money for rent. So that's why I was able to afford. So I gave my kids the best education I could. Everything for us was, we focused on them. We agreed that we'll focus on our children. And we put all our efforts in making sure our kids were getting the best education. We were living in we lived such a very humble life. I mean, I could call it humble because of my people's expectations. So let me put it this way. We live in a very nice place, not expensive. Our kids play with friends. And so, that's how we did it. So I spent all my money. And all this time, so I've been investing all my money on my children's education. I am not trying to buy a home as yet. I have bought properties, a few pieces here and there. I have some assets, but liquid cash comes and goes to the kids' education. So I get to 2019, I'm like, okay, after all those trips, I replay back my life and I notice I'm spending too much time away from my kids. I'm working just to pay for their school fees, and the education doesn't look like it's as high quality as it should be. Maybe with a little bias now that I'm paying more attention. And one of the things I realized that when I take an Uber ride for 10 minutes, who charges me like whatever, 500 bob, I rate that driver if they misbehave. When I calculated how much I spend on school fees, I noticed that I spend 1,600 for every lesson my child takes.
Hey, dude. You
1 hour.
broke it down to that?
Yeah, I broke it down to average 1,600. 5 lessons a day. Piga hesabu siku moja itakushtua sana.
And that's one kid.
Figure, uta notice lesson moja. Kama unalipaga school fees, na una count
the
ako 90 days.
Yes.
Assume 90 days, na hata hujatoa status. So ukizitoa,
it even goes higher.
So take 90 days, take the school fees you pay.
So it gives you how much they pay a day, and then I'll divide it by the number of subjects that they have.
Actually, do yourself a favor. Just remove, say, 20 school days a month, so it's 60 days.
Just hold on, let's just see.
Take 60 days in a term. Take how much you pay, and then see how much exactly you're paying for the education on a single day.
I get it.
Yes, and then break it down to a single lesson.
Man.
And then you don't see that. You don't know what they're learning. You don't know whether the teacher showed up. You don't know whether he showed up for half the lesson. You don't know whether he came and gave them an assignment and then went out for his shughlis. You never know. As long as you're taking them to a place and leaving them, you are trying to trust the altruism of these people, that they love, they're passionate about it, they want to give back to society as educators, and you don't know what's happening. And I didn't have visibility to that. Is it because I don't trust teacher? My mom is a teacher for 43 years. I trust them so much. But I also know human beings get tired, get bored, get discouraged. So, but since I'm rating an Uber drive for 3 SOC, why am I not rating my kids' education on a day-to-day basis? Why am I not aware? And when I divide it, you find it's a bit more money. So no, I was paying 1,600 for all the 3 kids for every hour. Okay. Not for one, if I'm not wrong. But anyway, you could do the maths again. Yeah. And so, so I was like, okay, it's not going to work for me. At most, I want visibility to what my kids are learning. So I got biased in that sense. So I started to homeschool them. Now, homeschooling situation.
So at this time, let me just ask some real questions right here. You don't have a job?
No.
Umetoka
Nailab? Right now naanza kumalizia Nailab sasa. Napata $1,000 and change mshahara yangu. Sasa bado napata kamshahara 120k at net.
But unaanza kutoka.
Nishaanza kutoka kwa sababu it does enough to sustain rent yangu na kusustain vitu zingine, unacheki? Sasa hata ushachapa rent sasa una do.
Exactly, ni kweli.
So nastaki kuuza assets zangu. Ile hao nilijengaga kitambo, siwezi enda kuishi huko, ni ndogo. Unashika. Na siko ready kuuza assets, niko ready kufikiria differently.
I get it.
Yes. And that's the time now we started talking with Hugh and the other guys about an online school, or a school. What could school look like? We discussed this on this WhatsApp group. And I realized a couple of things. Fathers are very unhappy because of how much they are paying. But they don't get to participate a lot in kids' education. And so they're just forced to keep on paying. And I decided I'll get involved enough to see whether I can match what people can afford to pay with better quality education. So 2019 even nikaanza kucode tena. Now I've stopped being CEO. I've stopped delegating. I don't have staff members to reduce. We are still surviving through this period where pre-COVID now, post-Jack Ma for us. And me, I figure, let me go back, start from scratch. Now, one of the flights I'm flying from China is what changed my mind. After now finishing up with Jack, maybe it was China. I can't remember. It was too many flights. Like, no, that was not what happened. Sorry, I skipped. Yes, I was flying from China, but I was not coming from a Jack Ma meeting. So end of 2019, nilikuwa nimekasirika. I was not very happy with myself.
You went for
yes, so I decided that
Let your globe.
Let globe, rudisheni globe hapa. I decided I'm tired, and my family is so understanding. You know, my wife will be like, go clear your head, you know. And I decided that I needed to go. And I wanted to go to a Vispana meditation center. Vispana, one of these places you meditate in silence. You don't talk to anybody, you sleep on a hard bed, you live like a basic life, but you just sit, you sit, you meditate or pray or whatever every day for 10 days. Quietly, and you don't say hi to anybody, or you don't look them in the eyes, and you don't have a phone. So I wanted one of those places. Silence, 10 days, talk to nobody, pick no phone call. I just was done. I needed to just reset myself. Just like the first trip. Remember the monastery?
Yep.
So I like these things. They just put you in a
and then you come out brilliant.
Nakuja mind yangu imefunguka. So nikabook moja, nikaangalia Thailand, nikakuta niko late. Anyway, I was invited to San Francisco to a conference. So I flew to San Francisco. Left Nairobi, went through, I think, Amsterdam, if I'm not wrong, went to San Francisco. And then that's why I started looking for a place, a meditation place I could go hide for 2 weeks and then come back with my hair grown. And my hair's now kubwa. So I'm just going to look for this quiet place and hope that the same thing I did with Nailab, I could do it all over again. Because now I don't have a job. 2020 is coming. And so I leave San Francisco, fly to Gwangju, from Gwangju, fly to Kathmandu in Nepal. And then I go into an Airbnb and I stay there for a week. Now I was just praying, meditation. You know, for me, meditation and praying are the same thing. Because it's a moment of silence, just concentrating on talking to God or, you know, hearing his voice. And then I took a bus for 10 hours to a city called Pokhara. it was just down. We went down. We were just all the way. Like the whole 10 hours was driving down.
Yeah.
Like, so we went all the way to this city that's at the foot of the Himalayan mountain. And then there was a small hotel. They're very cheap, like 5-star hotel is 3K a night. I booked myself in. And then the owner had that there was a black guy. I was the first person from this part of the world to visit. So the owner was an old man. He came every morning to have breakfast with me and talk to me. And it was my birthday then. He had his whole family make a cake and come and sing for me. And so I spent some time just quietly in that hotel. Fanya vitu interesting. People of mtaani ghetto wafanyangi, but I did some interesting stuff. like jumping off a mountain with a paraglider. Yeah, I had a host of experiences. Then I flew back. So I went around the world completely. Again, influenced by Around the World in 80 Days, a book I'd read as a kid. But I went around in about 2 or 3 weeks. You know, so stopping and staying, and just recording the journey. So I came back home. Sasa sayo, again kumbuka muenda sele do imeisha. Na 8 trip sikulipa. Kampu ilikuwa imefanya hivi, ilikuwa meni odo iko imelipa. Ikazilipa. Yes. So mimi sikuwa na do.
Yep.
So yangu ilikuwa ishaisha. But then, you know, it was a way like it was, so I get back and I still have a bit of money, but not enough money.
I get it.
Then I come back, I say, the one thing, on that trip, that's a trip I was listening to a podcast by Steve Blank. And he talked about, if you want to build a really good startup, you have to be the one writing software. Otherwise, that's going to be a big weakness for you. And I had known this and had stopped writing software many years ago. You know, now I'm a quasi management position. So I started coding again. And I built a platform for swapping books for kids. It's called Swap Kitabu. So what I wanted was the fact that you put your books there, somebody else puts their books there, we collect all these books, physical books. Then if anybody orders for a book, for 2 weeks, they can have that book and they pay 1,000, 2,000 bob.
Okay.
So that's what I started working on. Now nimeanza.
So but now when you had to relearn code because I remember what you're talking about, technology always upgrading and akuacha.
Sasa now I've been left behind a lot. Now I'm starting from zero again because technology has changed a lot. I'd coded a couple of years, 2016, 2017. Nimejaribu vitu mob, nimecode, but nilikuwa nakuwa discouraged and I stop. I'd start coding and I get discouraged and I'd stop. But now I was in a hungry place. I wanted to do it for real. I said, this is the time I'm going to do this. So I started coding. And so Swap Kitabu, got help from another developer, a mentor. He's younger than me, he's 28, almost 10, 12 years younger than me. Started helping me, even more. Started helping me, teaching me things. Every day I'd submit, he'd correct me. And now I got a younger mentor. Yes.
You got a younger mentor.
Yes.
That's crazy.
He mentored me very well. And then at some point I told him this thing is going to be big. And he wanted to quit and come, but I told him no, because I can't afford your salary. So he couldn't come. And then he got busy. So I went online, paid for Udemy. I think $11.50. Udemy, yes. Nikalipa course. So I started studying as I coded. Now I added a feature on Swap Kitabu. Then on February, I decided, no, I'm going to build it as a platform where a teacher and a student there's a Zoom link. They click, they get into a classroom. That's all I want. Because the teachers were sending my wife, myself, Zoom links in the morning. It was really tiring. Because now I'm homeschooling.
So this swap, okay.
I'm homeschooling, but I've hired teachers to help. Now that COVID has come, around February, March, it's coming, they're starting to send links. Because we're being careful. Because also we have friends in China who told us how bad this thing is. Okay.
Guy. Okay, this is insane.
So it was.
So now your kids, of course, you're telling the teachers, no, don't come. But so the teachers are sending your wife and yourself the Zoom links
in the morning. So you have to wake up very early.
So now you are trying to solve that. So yes. Okay.
So I built an interface where when the teacher starts the meeting, my kid sees a button has changed color and he clicks and now they're in class together. So I coded it. Yes. It took longer than it should have.
Yeah.
I mean, like there are easier ways to do it. Like have all of them share a Word document where the links are already there. But I didn't think about making it so simple.
And is that now when you're like, okay, hold on, I'm on to something big?
Then I'm like, chess classes. My kids love chess. Coding classes, I can't teach them coding. How do I get somebody else to teach my kids coding? Then I started adding those things. So I started building it, coding it. And now September 7 is when we were ready to launch. It's still very basic. So I thought I'd launch it around first term. March ikienda kuisha your break ya April.
Yeah.
I thought I'd launch it at second term hapo. Ikienda kuisha break. You know, like it just kept postponing because I was just like, I wasn't very good and confident. Then this lady, she's called Effie, she joined halfway. She said it was an Instagram conversation. So she said, I answered her question, said, I'd like to change education. She asked me how. I was one of those, ask me anything. I said this way. And then she looked at the website. She said, wow, so many spelling mistakes. Can I change this for you? I was like, yeah. Then another guy came over and said, hey, I'd like to help you with this. So people just jumped in initially.
This is insane.
Yeah, and then now they helped that.
And what role did your kids play?
My kids would walk up to me and say, so what are you building today, Dad? I'd be like, I'm trying to build logging in. They say, but that doesn't look okay. Can you look at Minecraft? This is how you log into the game. I'll look at it. Or can you give us merits if we finish our homework on time? I'm like, okay, where do we put merits? How do you get merits? Can you give us merits to use
That's
computers?
a reward system.
Yeah?
A reward system
it's
for
a reward
education.
System. So they all came up with it. The entire reward system was designed by my 7-year-old, my 10-year-old, and my 13-year-old. They came up with it completely for behavioral management.
Hold on, that is so radically redefining how school is done. That reward system in it's almost like instant rewards. You see, we get rewarded by, I was number 1 at the end of the term.
Yes.
But that's long term. You are talking about every lesson.
Every lesson you
there's
get a reward.
rewards.
And then I told my kids, when you get rewards, you convert them. If you get 1,000 rewards, each 1 point is 20 bob. So come from whatever.
No way.
So,
Dude.
So they get like 300 or 200 in a term. And then they come over times 20. I'll give you the money. So associating classroom with real life experiences. And now they could decide, like they decided they wanted to buy something. And then I'm like, okay, where's the money? So here's the money. We compute the money plus their reward. So now they're able to associate.
You're going to blockchain. You're going to cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
You're going to create
a
Kidato coin.
Yeah,
because
I thought about
now
it.
It has value in terms of it's worth this to $1.
Yeah. So it's a bank system for the
you're
kids.
not thinking about it, you're going to do it.
Yes. So it's there, a banking system for them, which we are going to implement even better now. It's not very well done. And then around the year...
But dude, do you have money at this time when you're doing all this?
I take up a job.
What do you mean?
I get employed silently, quietly.
Sorry, you're employed.
2020.
You're joking.
My friend was starting a company that is amazing. I have a friend, a very good friend of mine. I tell him where my situation is, and he gives me a job as CEO. Hapo to 2020 last year. Just asking that door.
Yeah.
Nipate kamshahara. But I'm building Kidato on the side. After 1 month, we talked, told him it's not working for me. And my mind was, I was not in a good place to work for somebody. And it wasn't just work, he gave me shares as well. He made me a co-founder. He's such a good person. Nikamwambia, saa 2020 nimekuza. So unakumbuka trip yangu, my trip was 2019. Now another year is always going. Now I'm burning out faster. So over my birthday, which is October, is when I travel. I asked my family to let me travel again. So I had some bits of money again. Zile tu mesef kidogo, I was able to go to Mombasa. Now I can't leave the country. Kinda stayed there for 2-3 weeks. Before I left, I'm still working on Kidato. Then I applied to IC.